Hello everyone, I'm back with the second part of the book, which is Attitude is Everything, and let's get started. So, the last part where we had stopped was whether we should tell our goals to someone or not. So, now we'll move to the next part, which is words and accountability. So now, words and accountability. Let's start with this topic. So the author has described that in some cases we actually decide to share our goal with someone else, and that's for accountability. In other words, if I tell others that I'm going to do something and then I have to go ahead and do it. Think of this approach as burning your bridges. So, burning bridges means that we'll cut off all avenues of retreat. So now the author has given a very good example of a person called Zig Ziglar. So it seems that the person Zig Ziglar was weighing 202 pounds. Now, how this accountability comes into action is that Zig Ziglar included a statement that he has got his weight down to 165 pounds. Now, the main thing of this part is that this was 10 months before the book actually went to press. So, what does this mean? That since he already announced that his weight is actually 165 pounds, he actually made an effort to reduce his weight from 202 to 165 pounds. So he actually put his credibility on the line with so many people who actually read the book. Now, this strategy has to be used very much selectively, and it should only be limited to the goals that are actually very important to us, and when we are 100% committed to go the distance, because it is actually risky, and it can be a tremendous motivator as well. Now, words and emotions. So how our words and emotions are connected with each other? Let's say that someone has lied to me, and I could actually reply or give response to the situation by saying that I'm angry or very upset with you. But if I use the words like furious and or enraged, then what happens is these words will actually it will dramatically alter my behavior. So when I am actually saying these words like I'm furious with you or something of this sort, even our blood pressure would rise, and we will actually feel more tense. So Robbins, here is the reference of a person called Robbins, and he gives other examples of how we can actually lower the intensity of negative emotions. For example, instance of these are that replacing I have been destroyed. Like, suppose there is one situation where you want to say that I have been destroyed, and if I replace it with I have been set back, or use the phrase I prefer instead of I hate something. So what happens is that if I select my words carefully, it will heighten my positive emotions. Instead of saying that I am determined to do something, or if I rather replace it with the word I am unstoppable. So these are few of the things which the author has given an example. Also, if there is a situation where we will say that okay, yeah, I'm feeling okay, or if you give an answer like I feel phenomenal or I feel just tremendous, so what is the vibe which we get by saying these words. We will actually feel more better if we say that we are doing very good, instead of saying I am okay, or I am doing good, or I am fine. Okay, now let's take a closer look at our words. So, there are many areas where we will be saying phrases like I can't do something, I'm no good at this thing, and it's impossible to do something. So, we all know people who can make statements like this, like I can't draw, I am no good at maths, or I can't remember names, or it's impossible for me to make that kind of money. When we make these comments day in and day out for more than 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, we are actually programming our mind for failure, because we are repeating these words again and again to us, and the same words will affect our psychology very deeply. So let's come to few things are there. Let's take them step by step. The first is there are four areas of life, and so there is a very good description about all of them, which I thought I'll share. First one is relationships. Do you say things like all the good men or women are taken, or people are always taking advantage of me? If you do, you are literally programming yourself for unhappy relationships. Second is finances. Do we use our do we use these words on a regular basis to describe our current financial situation? Phrases like I am always in debt. Do we say these things very often? If yes, then it is actually an issue. Third is career. If you ask someone about the career prospects over the next 5 to 10 years, how would we respond? Would you say that things will probably remain the same as they are now, or would you describe a higher position with more challenges, more responsibilities, and increased financial rewards? If you respond like I don't know where I am going in my career, and if we also say that chances are not much will change, and if on the other hand we have a clear goal which you can and do articulate fairly often, even if only to yourself, you stand an excellent chance of actually reaching that goal. The fourth one is health. Now, this is a really comic thing which I actually found it's very true. So, the thing is like imagine that a group of us is sitting down to a very delicious meal, and then 2 hours later, I call up someone and I tell them that every person who ate with us has been admitted to the hospital and they are being treated for food poisoning. Suppose that the other person whom I called, or she was feeling perfectly fine before I called. But then, how do you think they will react after hearing my information? They will most probably and definitely hold their stomach, get pale, and they will feel very, very ill, because my words have given them a belief that the food which the person actually ate was actually poisonous, and which in turn will start acting upon the body of the person. Okay, so now the next part is we often come across a question which everybody will ask us on a daily basis: how are you? And the answer seems like a small thing, but if we actually need to answer this question in a very like whatever we are replying to this answer, it has got a lot of significance on our daily conversations. Now the answer to these questions will be of three kinds. First is negative, second is mediocre, and third is positive. So let's take these examples step by step. The first one, which is negative response, can be if someone asks how are you and the answer is thank god it's Friday, or someone will say don't ask, it was terrible. Then okay, it's actually a very good decoding of these answers, which is, suppose the person who has told thank god it's Friday and they're having this approach to life, and like they will actually think that or they actually believe that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday are very bad days of every week, and the fifth day, which is Friday, is a bit bearable, because we all know that again after Friday 2 days will be off. So this is a question to us, that is this the way we want to live our life? The second one is mediocre responses. So those in the mediocre group are a step up from the negative bunch, and they will say I'm okay, same old, or they will say I'm fine. Now, even when we use these kind of words, we are actually diminishing our energy. Now, let's come to the third one, which is positive responses. So, these are the enthusiastic people who will say, my day was fantastic, I am doing great, I am doing super, and we actually feel little bit better just being around the positive people. These are the people who we will look forward to meeting every day, and these are the people who will most likely we will actually want to be among these kind of people. Okay, so now if we join the positive group, when we are asked the question how are you and we say horrible or not too bad, your physiology is adversely affected, and we'll actually tend to, what we actually do physically is we will slump our shoulders and head and take on depressed posture. So now let's take up a challenge and let's form a new habit, which is, in the end, if we say that everything is terrible, our mind is attracted to those people and circumstances that will cause that statement to be true. On the other hand, if we repeatedly state that our life is wonderful, our mind will begin to move in a positive direction. So when we respond like we are excellent or terrific, our physiology also begins to respond in the optimistic language, and our posture becomes more upright, and other people will be attracted to our energy and vitality. So we actually get what we expect in life. So now the challenge which I was talking about is, let's start with responding with enthusiasm. So for the next 1 month, we will try out this experiment. When anyone asks how are you, whether it's someone at work or anyone at store, or anyone if you meet, we need to respond with energy and enthusiasm that I'm doing great or I'm doing terrific, and we need to say it with a smile and a sparkle in our eye. It doesn't matter whether or not we are actually completely and totally feeling terrific at that moment. We need to simply apply the act if principle. Okay, so the next lesson is, we need to stop complaining. Troubles are like babies, they grow larger by nursing. This is a quote which is written by Lady Holland. So let's come to the lesson number 8, which is stop complaining. So now there is a question, how do we feel when someone will unload all of their problems and complaints on us? And those problems and complaints definitely are not very uplifting and energizing, right? The truth is, nobody likes to be around a complainer, except perhaps other complainers. Of course, we all will complain at one time or the other. The important question is, how often do we complain? If we are wondering that we complain too much, we simply need to ask our relatives and co workers, and they will let you know.